Bore da dosbarth tree. I hope you're all doing well and you're excited for your learning this week. So, one of our maths tasks this week is to find the area of a shape. Now, you might be wondering, what does the area mean? We did perimeter over the last few weeks. So last term you did perimeter, which is the distance around the shape. But the area is the amount of space taken up by the shape. Okay, so how much space is taken up by this shape? So you might notice with these two shapes, which one do you think has a bigger area? Do you think it's this one or do you think it's this one? Yeah, that's right. It's this one. It's quite obvious to see, isn't it? That this is a bigger shape than this one, and so it must have a bigger area, okay? The space that it takes up. But we need to find a way that we can measure that area, okay? And the way that we measure the area is to count how many squares it takes up. Okay, so if you look at these two shapes here, this first shape, we need to count the number of squares. Can you see how these blue squares, like you get blue square paper in your maths book, we need to count how many squares are inside that shape. So we know we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so shape number one has an area of 4 squares. Okay, and it's very important that we write squares after it, because when we're measuring, we always have a unit, don't we? Okay, if you're measuring length, it's centimetres. If you're measuring weight, it might be grams. But when we're measuring the area of a shape, we need to do it in squares. So the first shape has an area of 4 squares. Shape number 2, let's count how many squares are in that one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that means that shape has an area of 6 squares. So shape number 2 has an area of 6 squares. So which shape then has the biggest area? Is it shape number 1 or shape number 2? Yeah, that's right. It's shape number 2, because 6 is a larger number than 4. So 6 is greater than 4, which means shape number 2 has a larger area. What do you think then if I said I want you to draw a shape with an area of 2 squares? What might you do? Okay, you would get your ruler to start, wouldn't you? You'd get your ruler to start and you would make sure that you count out your squares. So 1, 2. So I'm going to draw a shape around these 2 squares. There we go. So my third shape, number 3, I've drawn a shape with an area of 2 squares. Remember, the area is the space that a shape takes up, okay? So the amount of space in a shape. And we measure it in squares by counting the squares. You've got 2 activities, and the first one is all about counting the number of squares in chocolate bars, okay? And you have to find out what area the rectangular chocolate bars have. And then your second task is going to be to draw your own chocolate bars, but with a given area. So if it had an area of 6 squares, then you need to make sure you draw a chocolate bar that has 6 squares inside it. Good luck with it. Remember to message me if you have any problems or if you get a little bit stuck. Hwyl fawr!